Welcome back to another edition of Ke'Elakai, the podcast. My name is Michael Kraft, and I'm joined as always by Ellie. By Ellie. Oh boy, I'm having a little brain fart today. How you doing, Ellie?
I'm good. I'm glad.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
We are so excited. For the first time ever, we have 3 guests with us this week. We have got Thomas Neberger, Dr. Troy Smith, and Regina Shamway. They're all from the Religious Freedom and Human Rights Initiative at BYU Hawaii.
Human dignity.
Human dignity. Oh boy.
That's a toughie.
Almost had it. How are you 3 doing today?
Good, thank you.
Doing great.
Awesome.
Thanks
Have
for
you
having
looked
us.
into acronyms?
We do actually have an acronym. It's RFHD, which
RFHD.
is also kind of hard to say because letters are difficult.
That's fair. Well, we're so happy to have you guys here. Basically, we just want to kind of like get more of the word out about this initiative and what it is, what it means, and what your purpose is. My first question, and whoever wants to jump in can jump in, is just how long has this been going on and what inspired its creation?
Yeah, I would love to spearhead that one. We actually just had a meeting with our donors last night and had a dinner with them. And the creation of the RFHD program has been in the works for a couple years. The donors are on some other philanthropy boards together. And they had, the feeling, the revelation, whatever it would be for them, to look into funding a program like this here at BYU Hawaii. Mm. After, what was explained in their history as some education bureaucracy between boards and donors and how to get it started. It officially came to campus at the end of last year. And by the time it got to what we consider the advisory board, we have 3 professors in charge or just advising us. That's Dr. Troy Smith, Dr. Michael Murdoch, and Dr. Jennifer Kajiyama Tinkham. By the time it got to them, they selected us. So the fellows or the student research assistants that we have here in the initiative, there's about 8 of us. That's gone from 5 back and forth to different numbers, but we have been actually working in the initiative since March. So the last 6-7 months.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. And what does that kind of entail? Like what work have you been doing since then?
So a lot of our mission, I suppose you could say, is to learn about issues regarding religious freedom and human dignity and just the ideas that surround that, and to spread that to people, to this campus, to this community. We're also involved in several research projects in which we look at specific issues regarding religious freedom, explore more ideas with the help of our advisory board and other professors. One that I know recently that's being done is being helped with Elder Welch in the religion department. Okay. He's working with students to analyze the preambles of constitutions all over the world and see what religious freedom language is used in there. Yeah. And a lot of what I mentioned earlier about spreading the word, we have a lot of forums that students can attend to learn more, and it's all really geared toward spreading information and gathering it.
Okay, for sure.
Why do you think it's important that you spread the information?
Well, for me personally, I think one of the major reasons that it's important to do it, especially at our campus, is because of the purpose of BYU Hawaii. So President McKay, when he visited this campus, stated that the main purpose behind BYU Hawaii was to gather students all over the world and train them here with the skills that they need to return to their home countries and promote peace and development. And I think it's a fundamental part because there's not a whole lot of religious diversity at BYU Hawaii.
Yeah.
Most of us are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So it's important for students here to learn principles regarding religious freedom and how to interact with other religions and be conscious of their needs so that when they go to their home countries and interact with these religions, wherever they're from, they can work effectively with them to create a common good for everyone, not just for members of the church or people who have similar beliefs to ours.
That's really awesome. I really liked where you ended with that about how it's important for whenever students here leave the campus and they're kind of in a position of interacting with people who religiously and spiritually have a lot different background than them, that they can have like skills and tools to like interact in a positive way. Because I know sometimes it can come off in a negative way or in a way that is just not productive to working well together. So I think that is important that you guys are doing that.
What does that look like, to interact with other religions and to still promote the freedom the way you're explaining?
Yeah, I think that's a great question of what it really looks like and how collaboration and interfaith dialogue happens. One of the cool things as fellows that we've been able to do over the last couple of months is go to international forums like that. From specifically, for example, we went to an interfaith dialogue. It was over recording, but to the ICLRS, or that's the International Center of Learning for Religion and Law Studies in Provo. But we heard from public policymakers and leaders in religion from Africa to Asia to Latin America and the Caribbean. And the topic was collaboration. What are the successes? What are, some of the failures, the challenges? What can we do? So what it really looks like, there's a lot of discussion, obviously, that these leaders put forth. But they're hoping that around the world, the look changes from discussion between policymakers and religion leaders to involving, the civil society, the public, involving the people to look for a change for these things. Because there's a lot of countries where, you don't have the freedom to, make your own decisions of what you want to believe or what you want to live. And that's, one of the purposes is as we leave the campus and domestic or international students alike go home, they can share that. We're kind of starting the leader's dream now of changing it from a discussion to the civil society movement of taking care of our beliefs and our freedoms that we have. So that's what we hope it looks like compared to what it looks like now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is so interesting. I wanted to ask, kind of to pivot a little bit from the religious freedom part of it, and kind of look at the human dignity aspect of the initiative. What I guess what do you guys define human dignity as in this context?
So human dignity is just this idea that every individual inherently possesses a dignity just by sheer virtue of them being a human. Mm-hmm. There's no judgment value on what they do or where they're from or what culture they believe in or what religion they subscribe to. It's just because they are human, they possess a certain dignity, and there's something that's to be respected about that. It's sort of the foundational belief of human rights, where human rights come from. People are entitled to basic human rights because they have a basic human dignity. And I think a lot of what we have studied personally in regard to human dignity is just, it's kind of being open to other cultures and not putting down anyone else because of something that they do in their culture that's really different from what you do. It's kind of very tied into religious freedom. Just that humans should be able to act as they believe, and no one should be able to force them to do something that they don't want to do or don't want to believe in.
Because they have that inherent dignity, they should have the right. That's what you're saying? Okay. So what do you think your final goal is? What do you hope to achieve with your forums and spreading the word? And
yeah, one of our biggest goals comes from what Regina just said, but is to really take these concepts. I think sometimes we've had informational booths, we've had some forums, and there's a general consensus of religious freedom and human dignity is like, oh, rights, okay. and that's the interest level, is it's the rights.
Mm-hmm.
And the understanding kind of stops there of what it really is. As, Regina opened the can so we can, really understand it. There are subsections of these. It goes into, individual liberties and rights that can go into cultural beliefs and cultural context, your spiritual belief, your spiritual non-belief, if you want. There's so many different topics and complexities within it that our goal is to take those, simplify it for students to understand, but to get real life examples of it. So understand, the definitions and what it looks like in real life, and then take that back to where they're from. There's sometimes, I think, there are things around us that we might think are regular things on the media, but in reality they're violations of these freedoms. So the goal is to educate so people can recognize, and then as a general public we change.
Yeah, and I think another important goal that we have for this is for people to realize the scope of religious freedom, how when you learn about religious freedom or when you fight or advocate for religious freedom, it's not just for your own religion. It's not just so the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can have temples or have private institutions in colleges. It's fighting for the rights of everyone so that Muslim people can wear hijabs in their places of work, or I can't think of any other examples, but just like stuff like that, so we can be aware of the issues and promote them wherever we are. I don't especially, as I mentioned earlier, with an international school, there's so many human rights issues and religious freedom issues in all these different countries, and I don't think anyone has the time to study and be able to advocate for them all, but we have a really large diverse student body, so you should be able to cover everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it is important to be honest with ourselves that we have a lot of diversity here, so we should try and kind of cover as much as we can. I wanted to ask you what or how, if in any way, this initiative has impacted each of you kind of on a personal level. What have you learned from it that you want to put into your own life?
Yeah. We, in kind of the process, you are approached by an advisory board member to become a student fellow. And we actually, I'll just add this in as a side note, we as an initiative take on volunteers to help us all the time. We want to include everyone on campus, and in any way, if they want to come facilitate some of our discussion groups or help us set up, build their resume, network, there's a lot of really unique opportunities within the initiative. I think opportunity is the word that sums it up for what's impacted me. These are interesting topics that I never really looked into before, but my plan is to go to law school. Specifically, I would love to go to the J. Reuben Clark Law School at BYU Provo. And so doing this and researching these topics, I've been able to meet a lot of people who have taught or have been influences at the law school and are helping me prepare myself for my future, what I want to go into. I've kind of changed the course from business law to more Native Indian law, as they call it. But those are groups and topics at the Provo Law School that are growing rapidly and super involved. So for me, it's opportunity, just being able to involve myself more in those and meet the people that I need to meet to help me get there.
Definitely.
As for me, how this has impacted me, it's just really widened or broadened the way I think about things. So I grew up in Laie, and Laie, like BYU Hawaii, is very heavily members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I didn't really think about issues that would plague other religions, or just, how coexistence works, I guess. Not saying everyone in Laie is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but
it's pretty common.
the great majority. I probably could count on one hand the amount of friends that I had who weren't members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But one of my favorite readings that I've done while in this initiative is a book called The Right to Be Wrong, and it basically pushes this idea that religious freedom doesn't mean thinking that everyone around you is right, because at the end of the day, your beliefs can widely differ, and they can't both be correct. However, even though I have what I believe to be true, doesn't make what you believe of less value or not to be respected. And so it's acknowledging that I have the right to think that everyone else is wrong, and everyone has the right to think that I'm wrong. As long as we allow ourselves to have that belief and to live those beliefs in our daily lives. So just learning about that, just, I hope has improved my ability to be sympathetic toward other religions and to be able to work and collaborate together so that we both get what we want and neither of us is pushing our agenda or our religion onto the other.
Yeah. So you haven't always lived in this Laie bubble. Tell us about your forum you went to in DC just recently.
Oh, yes. So recently, the J. Reuben Clark Law Society that Thomas mentioned hosted a Religious Liberty Fellowship in Washington, D.C. And they had speakers from all over, of all different religions, telling us about their work in religious freedom. So some of them had advised congressmen to work on religious freedom legislation. Some people have advocated for it on the workplace, with employers. Some people had fought for their own rights in the court, and we also met with a few lawyers from the Becket Fund, who is known for defending religious freedom. And it was really interesting. I think one of my favorite speakers was a man by the name of Simar Singh, who was a Sikh man who had fought for his right to... So something about Sikh culture is that the men are supposed to not shave their beard and wear turbans all the time. And when he was in the military, he couldn't do that. And so the Becket Fund took up his case and advocated for his right to have that while working in the military. And they won that case. And it was interesting because just, kind of to empathize with him and think of the beliefs that I hold close to my chest. Because sometimes it's very easy to say, just shave your beard, just take off the turban. It's no big deal. But, because I don't have that belief, so I don't think the same way. But to empathize and think, okay, what things do I believe in? What things are important to me, and how would I feel if someone said, just families, just leave them.
Yeah.
It really helps you to empathize and think, okay, well, this belief is important to that person, even if it's not a big deal for me. That's not the point. It's just, he believes that strongly, and he should have the right to live that.
Definitely. What kind of...
So Regina's not telling you that's a highly selective symposium to get to. And it was all law students or other professionals. We had 3 people that got accepted to go to it. And one of the things they had to do was give a presentation on how they were going to apply this. And it was Regina and Taylor that were given a standing ovation for the project that they were going to work on.
I really don't remember that happening. Everyone has been saying we had a standing ovation. I have no memory of that.
You were just glad it was over.
I was glad it was over.
That's wonderful. What's this project?
So it's really kind of still in the beginning stages of the work, but basically we're going to hold... Thomas has mentioned that there's a bunch of conferences that we go to, so we're thinking of holding one here in Laie, perhaps based on with the Marriott Center conference rooms, or maybe somewhere on campus. And we just invite speakers from all over, mainly sticking to the Asia Pacific because of our student demographics, from all different religions, just to speak about certain religious freedom and human dignity issues. So just to, just be interesting to have kind of a big event like that in Laie that students can attend and ask questions and learn more, especially if it can also, like Thomas mentioned, give them a good chance to network and see what they can do with their home countries or with religions close to them.
Yeah, I think that'd be so great to have a conference like that here, because as diverse of a campus as we are religiously, it's not super diverse. So it'd be really, I think it would be so beneficial to have something like that here, where people can kind of be exposed to those ideas of valuing other people's religions and cultures in a way that is what that individual needs, not necessarily like what we each feel like good or comfortable with, but like how that person needs their religion to be respected. I kind of wanted to ask you, Dr. Smith, what pushed you to kind of want to be part of this from the beginning? Where did that come from?
I was at my niece's wedding reception and was approached by a member of the church philanthropies department. He said he had some donors that were interested in sponsoring religious freedom at BYU Hawaii, and he hadn't been able to get any traction and wondered if political science would be willing to do that. And so that began the negotiations. And I do philosophy, constitutional law, American government, so religious freedom and human dignity are areas that I do a fair amount with, and it just seemed like a really good opportunity. And we kind of worked with the donors, and we said, okay, you want religious freedom, and we want to be able to support our students in other ways. Can we help each other out? And so they've been very generous with the donation, and we've been able to employ 8 student fellows and also support them on their conferences and help students get on internships, get them some professional clothes so that they'll be able to handle that. Help them in ways that the university hasn't been able to help. And that's a result of the generosity of the donors that have worked with this. And then one of the things that we decided early on when we put this together is that it would be student-led. So the executive board is actually the student fellows. They're the ones who decide what goes on. The faculty, we're just advisors. So we're kind of helping, but it's up to them. And that's been a real reward for me, is to see them take on this responsibility and produce professional level work, and then see the influence that it has and how important of a subject is. I think for a lot of us, we're like, oh, religious freedom, yeah, America's got that, no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's actually a lot of problems like the Sikh in the military, religious clubs on campuses. There's a number of religious freedom issues in America. And if we're not aware of it, if we're not vigilant, then it's very easy to lose these freedoms. So for me, it's been a real joy to see the students recognizing this and then taking it on and just finding what they're interested in and developing that. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And I wanted to ask, what made you feel like that making it student run was the way to go? Not that I don't think you all are super capable, but that's kind of a distinct direction to push it in. What made you want to do that?
Well, probably pragmatics first of all. All of the money has to be spent on students. So the advisors get nothing for this. We can't go out to dinner and talk about what's going on. And we're pretty busy as faculty here. And it was, as we were setting this up, it's like, well, we really can't do this. We're gonna have to push it off to the students and see if they can rise and do it. And they have. And actually, I've been talking to some faculty about some other issues, and we're trying to figure out how to work it out and what's going on. And I thought we were about done. We deadlocked, nothing was coming of it. And then Michael Murdoch, the other advisor, said, well, you guys could do this student-led like we do the RFHD initiative. And it just opened up a whole new way of thinking about it. And the other professors are like, yeah, that could really be a thing. And so I'm seeing that it is something that is valuable. I think could have some legs and be used in different formats as well.
That's awesome. That's really. I think that is so. I think it's really good to have something like this that's student led. I've been involved in a couple things that are not totally like this, but where as a student you're tasked with putting together like high quality professional level things. And I think that is one of the best things about BYU Hawaii is that we have so many opportunities to gain experience that you frankly wouldn't be able to get at a much bigger school. That, like, if I don't know, if we're at like UCLA or something like that, it's a lot harder with just, you know, tens of thousands of students to get an opportunity like this to get that experience. I think that is super important that you all are able to give that to these students.
With that, I think it's time that we go to our fun, exciting Fast Five section. So we've just got 5 questions for you. They're very simple, and they're a little bit fun. So I think we'll just go around the circle. So first one, your favorite ice cream flavor.
And why?
I think my favorite ice cream flavor is...
Don't think, just say.
The Tonight Dough. It's a Ben & Jerry's flavor, the Tonight Dough, the Jimmy Fallon one.
Okay.
There's like cookie dough in it, I think brownie chunks, and it's just heaven. Heavenly. It's so good. Also, it's a very good emotional support ice cream. So
Sometimes you need that.
it's been there for me. It's been there for me.
It's a human right.
Mine would be Oreo ice cream because my mom makes it whenever we get together. It's one of her specialties.
Is it different than like cookies and cream, or?
It's pretty much the same.
Okay,
yeah.
but it's
But it's
special because
homemade.
it's-
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's sweet.
I've been robbed of my choices, so I would probably say, in light of Dr. Smith's sentimental value to ice cream, I'd go with my grandmother's strawberry ice cream with freshly picked strawberries.
Grandma.
Golly, that sounds
Nobody
nice.
does it like her.
All right, next question. What is the first thing that you do in the morning?
Go back to sleep
Go
for,
back.
for just a little bit. I set up 6 alarms on my phone so I can sleep through 5 of them.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's really relatable.
Just to get that joy of hitting that snooze button.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
Wander around.
Aimlessly.
Aimlessly.
Trying to wake up.
What
to
is
wake up.
today?
I wake up pretty early, so I wake up, I go to my door frame, and I stretch my shoulders and get a glass of water. And that's my every day. Starts my day right.
There you go.
I thought you get something like
Stay hydrated.
exercising, and I feel bad about myself.
Just a shoulder stretch. Cool. Okay, and your childhood dream, what you dream of being?
I really wanted to be an author, like a fiction author, because
Okay.
all my childhood, and even now, it's just reading.
Mm-hmm.
Reading all the time. I'd borrow like 8 books from the library, bring them all back the next day, having read them all.
That's me too.
Wow.
I got grounded from reading.
Same. Man, what a terrible time.
So when I was like 5 years old, it was Apollo 13, and it was on TV. And my dad was explaining to me that, you know, the astronauts were on a mission. And about that time, the missionaries came to our door and, you know, were talking to us. My dad invited me in. We're members of the church, and explained to me that they were on a mission. And one of the missionaries had come from, I think it was England or something like that. My dad explained it's, you know, it's on the other side of the world, and he comes over here. And somehow the idea got caught in my head that when you're 19 years old, you go on a mission for your country. You get to be an astronaut and go to the moon. And then you go down, you land on the other side of the world, and you do a mission for your church. And for a number of years, I had that idea, and I was really depressed when I found out I wasn't going to go to the moon.
My childhood dream was always to be an army man. I just loved, from a pretty patriotic community, so I think a lot of me and my friends would play Army and look up to the veterans, and that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, that's
There
cool.
you go. Awesome. What was the last book or movie that you enjoyed?
That I enjoyed. It's a TV show, but me and my family have been watching The Chosen on Sundays,
Oh,
Lately.
okay, yeah.
which is a really good show. Maybe it's on brand for being in the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative.
Yeah.
But it's just nice how much the characters of the Bible come to life and like, oh, they're people.
Mhm.
Like I'm a person, not
Yeah.
always righteous, super holy.
Hmm.
It's enlightening to say the least.
For sure.
Well, it's not as good as that one, but my wife and I recently returned to the movie theater and watched Dune, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have not. My wife and I hate scary movies, but we watched A Quiet Place and were engulfed, and then binged the second one as well.
Yeah.
Those
There.
are fun.
On the school website, if anyone listening wants to tune in and go to housing and click on your movies.
They got good movies on there.
They've upped their game for sure.
Cool. Okay, last one. What unique talent do you have?
Regina's always on the spot. Have
I
to.
know. I
You
need
have to think about
And
it.
the- think
unique
first.
talent. Someone else want to go first while I think?
It is no longer a talent that I can do, but I pressed myself while playing band in high school, and I could circular breathe for 15 seconds.
Circular breathe?
Yeah, so
What?
you expand air through your mouth while breathing it in simultaneously through your nose.
Whoa.
So you can play longer. But I stopped playing when I went on my mission, so I
Oh my
can't do it anymore.
goodness. Yeah, that is a talent.
How did you YouTube it or
YouTube, and my band director had some books on theory of breathing.
Wow.
I was a band kid.
Yeah,
A
sounds
band,
like it.
band geek.
I was on percussion, so I didn't have to worry about circular breathing. But
Yeah.
Wynton Marsalis, right? Or is it Brandon Marsalis?
For the book,
He does it with the trumpet really
yeah,
well.
he does it very well with the trumpet. My inspiration was Trombone Shorty.
okay.
He's a jazz performer.
I did not know this about you, Thomas.
Yeah. The more you know.
I can read currents really well. I used to be a whitewater river guide, and so on a real technical river, and you have to be able to find your little current in the whole river and get on that and stay on that. And so I felt that was one of my unique talents.
How do river currents compare to ocean currents?
Well, they're pretty different, right? They're all headed in
Yeah.
one direction, except if you take a cross section of river, the way I kind of explain it is there's probably 30 different currents in just a cross section, and even if you just find a little train of waves, it's about 3 inches high. If you have a good boat, you can get on that train, and that will help guide your boat where you want to go through the rapids. So it's just kind of finding your train, riding it until you need to jump off and get on a different wave train and
Wow.
ride that one.
That's cool.
You'd think with all this time to think, I'd think of something good. Nothing as cool as finding currents. The only thing that's coming to my brain is empty now. The only thing that's coming to my brain is the thing that missionaries do.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
That's it.
Regina,
That's all I got.
I don't want to jinx her, but she ran the first forum that we had, and there's a bit of confusion going on as people were milling about. We had 70 people there. The room was full. Regina just started that meeting off, and she just grabbed everybody, and she had their attention, and she was just able to. There's just some people that are able to possess a room, and I was just like, wow, that's a side of Regina I haven't seen. It was just neat to watch.
That's a really awesome talent.
That is awesome.
There's a really funny picture. I'm outing myself. There's a really funny picture from that forum when I'm on the stage where my hand is in that classic Italian, gesture. It's on our website if you can find it. I think it's hilarious. I was embarrassed when I was on the website, but it's so funny. So
That's your alter ego. Just
Funny enough, Regina is an Italian name, so
Hey, there you go.
Via di Bracci. I don't know what that means.
that's
It's not
awesome.
Sicilian, right? We don't have to worry about.
Well, Regina, Thomas, Dr. Smith, you said it all. Thank you for coming on this week. We really appreciate your time and for sharing about this initiative. And that's us for this week. You can find us on Instagram at KLKIPod, and we will be back next week. Thanks.